from President Trump as the largest cyber warfare activity in the world. McInerney says there are two groups involved, both the foreign states of China, Russia, and Iran, as well as U.S. citizens.
This is 6 to 10 states bonding together to manipulate their data to take control of the U.S. government and the chief executive officer, the commander-in-chief. So this is not anything to be taken lightly. It's not dirty politics or tricks. It is treason by the very nature against the United States government and the people of America.
A cybersecurity expert signed an affidavit saying TV news stations reported the counting stopped in 5 swing states the morning after the election. He calls this highly unusual and says it may indicate prior coordination, but says they did not stop counting and did so behind closed doors, demonstrating collusion to get the results they wanted in secret. General McInerney outlines a 5-fold plan for tackling what he calls a national emergency.
Initiate the Insurrection Act, declare martial law, suspend habeas corpus, and set up military tribunals. Those are the things that must be done in this emergency. It is a national emergency of whether we're going to continue forward as a democratic republic or go into a totalitarian society.
General McInerney's plan starts with the president declaring a national emergency as per Trump's 2018 executive order on foreign interference with the election. Then he suggests implementing the Insurrection Act to quell potential riots by Antifa and BLM, who he says will want to create chaos if Trump wins. Then declare martial law, suspend habeas corpus, and set up military tribunals to arrest and try those who participated in the steal, people he's identified but can't disclose. He says the problem must be solved now or never.
And if we don't solve it now, it'll never be solved because we will move into a tyrannical situation that will eventually be, whether you can call it social democrats or communists, it's going to be both the same. It's just a different name.
Now, we'll take a closer look at some vote manipulation within the election database, including explicit vote count switching from one candidate to another. You can see in Dodge County, there's a lot of strange activity going on. The left side of the screen shows incremental votes as they were reported for both election day and absentee. On the right, we can see the total vote counts, which should only be incremental, moving as the county reported in real time. Again, here we're focusing only on Donald Trump's votes. So this wouldn't necessarily be captured at the state totals as they're reported on TV, since one county's deduction in votes can be offset by another county's reporting of equal or greater votes. The first question you're going to want to ask, or already have asked, is why are any bars going negative? And the answer is they shouldn't. Unbeknownst to the general public, votes for Donald Trump were being switched and removed from his total, which often coincided with other precinct updates that simultaneously offset deductions so that they appeared to remain neutral to outside observers. Across the 3 counties of Dodge, Daughtry, and Putnam, Trump has over 30,000 votes that simply disappear. Here, we have clear visibility of an event that occurred at the county level as we compare 2 data sources. In this case, Donald Trump reported 29,391 votes at 9/11 local time in Bibb County, Georgia. Simultaneously, Joe Biden was reported to have 17,218 votes. Minutes later, at the next reported time update from the precinct data sources, Donald Trump is reported to have 17,218 votes, and Biden now has 29,391 votes. A clear and exact switch of vote totals between candidates. Because there is a time lag between each state-reported aggregation of county results, this type of switch can go undetected in state reporting, as long as it falls after the latest state refresh and before the next state update.
According to the Georgia Secretary of State website, Trump lost by 12,670 votes. As you saw earlier in this video, far more than that were taken from President Trump.
After 12 hours of testimony, you can't make some of this stuff up. I mean, it's just unbelievable what we've seen in this 12 hours of testimony. I'm embarrassed. It's an embarrassment for our state. And I am more and more convinced now that this was a well-orchestrated, well-coordinated effort by several groups to commit widespread and systemic fraud
happened on October 21st was a series of unusual events that cannot be a coincidence. I know I saw ballots with return addresses filled out, thousands of them, thousands, loaded onto my trailer in New York and headed for Pennsylvania. At first, I didn't think it was a big deal. In fact, I thought it was really awesome. I really did. I was like, sweet, I'm doing something for the presidential race. You know, this is cool. But as things became weirder, I got to thinking and wondered why I was driving complete ballots from New York to Pennsylvania. I didn't know why, so I decided to speak up. And that's what I'm doing today. Thank you.
This evidence demonstrates, and it's through eyewitness testimony that's been corroborated by others through their eyewitness statements, that 130,000 to 280,000 completed ballots for the 2020 general election were shipped from Bethpage, New York to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where those ballots and the trailer in which they were shipped disappeared.
The same person who cleared the place out under the pretense that we're going to stop counting is the person who put the table there at 8:22 in the morning. Yeah, I saw 4 suitcases come out from underneath the table. Yeah, upper right hand, you see the gentleman in the red. So he just pulled one out. So what are these ballots doing there, separate from all the other ballots? And why are they only counting them whenever the place is cleared out with no witnesses? Is the question. So these machines can process about 3,000 ballots an hour. You have multiple machines there, and they're there for 2 hours. So you do the math. How many ballots went through those machines in those 2 hours when there was no one there to supervise, to be present, consistent with your statutes and rules, to supervise the tabulation? We believe that could easily be, and probably is certainly, beyond the margin of victory in this race. Because if it's only 3 scanners working for 2 hours, right, that's 18,000 ballots that went through. So we're now at 11:09. There were, in addition to the 4 workers that you see there were 2 other people who were bringing ballots in and out. The gentleman in red that you saw, and then a second person, I can't tell if it's a male or female based on their hair being pulled back in their mask, but in any event, that's 6 total people. And so if we were to sit here for the next 2 hours, what we would see is that this operation just goes on and on and on. They're scanning until about 12:55 in the morning. So we kept the video running. And, we can show you the people who gave us the affidavits reappearing.
We're going to see a turning of the tide because we have not really heard the truth of the arguments made on the other side on what happened. And when we're dealing with a government and leadership in Harrisburg that wants to close their ears to what's happened during this election, and sadly, many in the media that are complicit and want to write off what happened. So for me, on this battlefield and remembering what happened 157 years ago, especially 157 years ago last week, where Abraham Lincoln gave his most famous address, and I think his final sentence captures why we're here today. He said that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. And everything is at stake in what happened during this election cycle. Everything. The republic is at stake. This is no game for us. And for any veteran in this room here who wore the uniform, such as Brigadier General Scott Perry, thank you for being here, sir. put their lives on the line here fighting for a country, and to see that there's a group in this state and country willing to throw away our valuable and precious freedoms here for power. You know, for me, there we go. And Mr. Mayor, it's going to be a fantastic hearing today. Despite pleas from our citizens, the governor refuses to even consider that there was any shenanigans in the elections here in our state, a state of 13 million people, and he wants to discount because his guy won that nothing bad happened, and that's just unacceptable. If there's any hint of fraud out there, we need to investigate. Any governor serving the people, this Commonwealth, would put aside his petty politics, and find out the truth, if anyone was defrauded. And at this point here, he's unwilling to do that. Let me point out some hard facts here. We are in Adams County, named after our second president, John Adams, who famously said, "Facts are stubborn things." Let me lay out several of these inconvenient truths, as Al Gore would have us think. There have been many allegations of voting law violations across the state, and the governor serving the people would have to move heaven and earth to ensure no one was defrauded, but yet he's not moved to action.
Donald Trump got 74 million votes. There are 133 million registered voters in the United States. If every single registered voter went out and voted, which we know is basically impossible, doesn't happen, there would only be 59 million votes left for Joe Biden. So how the heck did he get 81 million
Because they
votes?
cheated. You're discriminating against all the dead people, Laura. How dare
that's
you?
right.
There was fraud. We have proven that. Absentee ballot applications with the wrong middle name. Not sure why I got it, how they got my information, who's sending me this or why. Hi, my name is Amanda McGee, and my testimony is basically just about the absentee ballot and applications that I've received unsolicited. This is a ballot I received for it was a circuit court runoff. Not sure why I got it, but I received an absentee ballot. These are absentee ballot applications with the wrong middle name. It says my correct first name, last name, and address, but the middle name is Lay, Amanda Lay McGee. My middle name starts with a D, and I wanted to point this out because this might explain some of the people that have voted multiple times in other states with similar or different names. So if I were a corrupt person, I could fill out this absentee ballot application and, receive the ballot with this incorrect middle name and then go and vote in person with my correct ID and middle name. So I just want to point that out, and I'm not sure who's sending me this or why. It looks pretty official. And it also corresponds with some of the junk mail that I've been receiving from Democrats with that same middle initial L. And also I wanted to point out that the Democrats have been to my house, knocking on my door. I'm not sure how they got my information, but I was speaking to someone about this. A mother, she has an 18-year-old daughter. You cannot register what party you're affiliated with. And I think that's a problem because it invites fraud. It allows the Democrats to lie and say that, oh, there's a blue wave, when we actually know that's not true. It's actually a red wave. And, I just would like to, someone to look into that on why we cannot register as a Republican or as a Democrat or what party we're affiliated with.
When the Texas case was brought up, he said he heard screaming through the walls as Justice Roberts and the other liberal justices were insisting that this case not be taken.